Hello everyone. Today we have a very important topic. We're going to examine one of the key programs that is abundantly placed in our heads. From this single program, hundreds of thousands of blocks spring up for each of us. Because of it, we fail to realize many intangible benefits. We can't gain an internal sense of self-worth when we feel good, when we feel significant, loved, and valuable. We feel so loved, yes, that we can love ourselves in return and so on. This concerns not only external expressions of love, but also our own internal feeling of self. Do I love myself? Do I like myself? And so on. It also affects the appearance of many material things that surround us. Money, our jobs, our travels, everything in our external material world that we come into contact with, or conditional wealth, is exactly that factor that, if twisted, won't allow us to reach a higher quality version of ourselves. It drags out many blocks in the process. I think that if someone identifies this program in themselves and removes it, their quality of life will improve dramatically. This program might seem obvious, but it's so ingrained in our subconscious that we hardly notice it. Meanwhile, it's broadcast to us from everywhere. TV, billboards, advertisements, music, and so on. People who are not susceptible to this program tend to achieve great success, not only in terms of self-worth, but also in acquiring material well-being. What is this topic? Specifically, it's the dominance of material values, matter, over our spiritual, internal aspects. It's a case of having our priorities wrong. It happens when a person places matter above their own life, their own emotions, their own internal well-being. This also extends beyond themselves to how they value other people. I believe this video will be useful to absolutely everyone, because even if you think you're not affected by it, the truth is that most people in this world, in one way or another, suffer from this program. As I said, it's broadcast everywhere, and of course it's used by trans corps and marketing. All marketing and big business basically aim to instill this mindset in every single person. So I think it will be useful for all of you to hear this, and even if you already know it, hearing it again won't hurt. But before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Nadjesda. I'm someone with unblocked abilities since childhood. I have deep empathy, as well as a unique gift of seeing the subtle plane, which helps me read information about the past, the future, people and events. Among ordinary people, this might be called alt psychic, but I don't see it that way, because all people have these skills. They're just blocked. On my channel, I help people get themselves back, unblock these abilities, and dismantle the many blocks I mentioned earlier. Not just this one, but various other blocks in general. I show them, I talk about them, and I hope that each of you can get rid of them and find your inner strength. These blocks hinder your development of self-worth and self-realization in this world, holding you back. So alright, let's talk about matter and why I drew attention to this block. Many people here are deliberately, artificially kept in a state of poverty. Call it the lower class, the middle class, and so forth. We all know it's done on purpose, whether at the state level or by various trans corps. A special artificial economy is created keeping people in certain conditions, and it's not by chance. There's even scientific evidence for it when a person is always on the verge of survival, running like a squirrel in a wheel, constantly chasing paychecks, buying food, going to sleep, getting up to work again. There's no time or energy left for deeper self-inquiry or exploration of the world. Of course, blocks play a key role here too. They stop many people from stepping outside their perceived limit. I've met people who say, I've Nadjesda, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, everything is awful. I have a lot of kids, and so on. And when I point out actual tools, real laws and options that could help them earn more, break free, or otherwise improve their lives, they offer 500 reasons why they can't or won't. The swamp they're stuck in is, ironically, their comfort zone. They don't want a better version of themselves or a better life, so they'd rather stay put. Yet there are others who really do want to get out, but the blocks are holding them back with 500 excuses. Because a better life doesn't always mean being a picture of perfect success. but simply a more comfortable, happier existence. Still, many people resist stepping out of their swamp. Now, among people in this survival mindset, and even among those in higher ranks, there is a very widespread program placing material things above one's own life, and not only above one's own life, but above the lives of others. Actually, the second follows from the first. If a person doesn't value their own life, they typically don't value the lives of others either. They might be willing to trample over others for the sake of material gain. Sometimes people assume, oh, that means they really love themselves, but usually it's the opposite. Violence, hurting others, is born of pain, not of self-love. When someone truly values themselves, values their own life, they also grow more appreciative of the lives around them. Our external behavior is a reflection of our internal state. In our society, a big problem is how we broadcast to ourselves and our children the idea that, for instance, a purse might hold more value than a human being, or that it's acceptable to insult someone for the sake of acquiring a new phone. People forget that these objects can't think or feel. Meanwhile, children witness parents who get furious over a broken vase, shifting the focus to how valuable that object was, rather than caring if the child is hurt or if they need emotional support. Often, we don't notice these small things, but they reveal our deeper priorities. For example, someone might trip and fall, tear their new tights, and think, oh, it's such a shame about the tights, instead of worrying about the bleeding knee underneath. Or the same scenario with a sweater or jacket, people lament the ruined clothing more than they lament their own pain. We treat an inanimate object as though it's more important than our well-being. That's the program at work. For some, it might even be leftover trauma from childhood, when parents prioritized items over the child's feelings. Another version of this is how many families end up in constant arguments over chores. Unwashed dishes become more important than the emotional needs of a spouse or child. Again, the plate doesn't care whether it's dirty or clean, but we forget that the person we're yelling at is emotionally affected by our aggression. Pain typically breeds more pain. Aggression breeds more aggression. And we lose sight of the fact that a person's emotions are far more vital than a piece of porcelain or metal. So now, let's push deeper, because the more you consistently elevate things above a person's emotions, the more you drift toward a life that doesn't value people at all. Ultimately, you fail to see the value of your own life, and you fail to see the value of others. Often, we get stuck in a mindset where we view our possessions as extensions of ourselves, like a vase we bought with our hard-earned money. If it breaks, we react as if a piece of us broke. We might say, "Oh, I slaved away at my job to buy that vase." We tie it to a sense of self, so when it's lost or damaged, we'd feel personally violated. However, an object is just matter. It doesn't have consciousness or emotion. The big mistake is conflating the object with ourselves. Many people grew up hearing that, for instance, the plate is more important than you are, or the floors are more important than you are, and so on. Then they start internalizing that if they want to matter, they must become as important as these objects. Their sight should no longer separate me from the external material environment. This makes it very difficult to birth reality on an energetic or intentional level. People say, "I want to shape my reality, I want to manifest." But it doesn't work because they can't sense the boundary between themselves and the world. They see themselves as so entwined with the matter around them that they can't step back and realize, "I am the sculptor and the world is the clay." Instead, they feel like they are the clay too. They don't believe they have any real power to create or transform. The truth is, to manifest effectively, you need to have your priorities straight, to recognize your soul, your inner world, is separate from the objects and events around you. Then you realize that the external world is just something you can interact with, shape, and direct with intention. If we're stuck believing that some bag or piece of furniture is more important than we are, we automatically diminish our own significance. A person who feels small, who sees themselves as unworthy, can't easily harness reality and bring about the life they want. This topic is very deep, with a fine line between the subtle aspects. But if you can grasp this and step away from this material-based program, if you can reclaim your sense of self as separate and more precious than any inanimate object, then your reality may very well fall at your feet. So that's all for today. I love you all day, and let me remind you that each of you can help more people awaken and cast off the shackles that have been imposed on them. By simply liking this video and writing a comment, you can push it into the recommended lists so more people can see it and decide for themselves if they need it or not. Undoubtedly, this will allow many to make their own choice, stepping toward awakening where everything else depends on them alone. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share my channel, become a member of my Telegram channel, and discuss with like-minded people as a supporting club member.